Hey, we're live. Good morning, everyone. I'm here today with one of our Farm Marketing from the Heart students, Cate Crawford from New York. I'm from Oregon, so we are on opposite coasts here. And I really appreciate you joining me today to talk about class, because as everyone knows, registration is open for this week only. So Cate, tell us, introduce yourself, tell them your website, and even spell it, because it's beautiful. I want everyone to see it. And tell us what you raise.
Okay, so I'm Cate Crawford. My husband and I together run Lyndaker Farms, which is Lyndaker farms.com, one word, Lyndaker Farms. And we have been doing pastured pork, pastured poultry, and bare root peonies. So we sell the actual plant, not the flower. Although we will sell flowers at our farm stand, we don't ship flowers. But we are looking right now to simplify our business and probably just do only the bare root peonies, actually.
That's exciting. And you also just told me, I didn't know you had a 2-year-old.
Yes, she's my youngest.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Okay. You're like me. And
yeah.
How old are they?
Let's see, 8 and then 2.
Okay. Yeah. So like so many farmers, you are juggling the farm and your husband's day job and 3 kids, not to mention a 2-year-old. So I just want to point that out. And sorry, I'm making sure we're showing up on Facebook here. I want to point that out because so many people think, how can I do this? Or is it possible? And you give people inspiration that it is possible. You might have to make some adjustments, and we'll talk about that. But that's a busy, busy life. 2 of my 3 kids have moved out now. So I'm enjoying a little more relaxed household than in the past, but I can totally feel for my youngest was 3 when I started the farm. So yeah, it's a lot. Well, so Cate, tell everyone, what did your marketing for your business look like before you met me? Like before you found Farm Marketing from the Heart, what was your marketing strategy?
So it's kind of embarrassing to answer, but I'll go for it. So we weren't doing any marketing, like literally 0. And there was like kind of a good reason and then a not so good reason for that. So the good reason was we had to for us to start our farm, because we lived in Brooklyn and because farmland is at least usually 2 to 3 hours away from Brooklyn, it wasn't possible for us to do what a lot of farmers do and kind of start their farm while they're also keeping both their day jobs and that kind of thing. So we instead saved up money for years so that we could live for 1 year without any income. Because that gave us an opportunity to just kind of see what is the wide range of things that we're interested in potentially growing, which are we good at, which work well with our land, right? So the good reason we didn't market the first year is we were figuring out our operations a lot, right? And we knew at the end of that year, probably one of us would have to go back to work, and my husband did, right? But I didn't feel confident marketing because I wasn't confident in my product yet, right? So that was we did happen to sell out, but it was just luck. It was through total luck, right? Mm-hmm. So the second and not so good reason was I was totally hiding, because like marketing felt so intimidating to me. And I think I was a little bit of a jaded city person, that it really just felt like my experience with marketing felt like people shoving things at you, whether you needed them or not. They didn't care about your situation. They overwhelm you with these options of things to buy, especially online, right? So I had this really kind of icky view of what marketing was. And I was trying to figure out, like, can I grow a business and do 0 marketing? Because like, I don't want to be that guy, like I just don't want to do that. And I heard, but I knew it was like January of 2018. And I knew I had to do something. And I was listening to a podcast and they interviewed you.
Oh,
and
good.
Thing they said, like, and I had listened to other marketers on that same podcast, and it seriously like made me almost like get panic attacks. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do what these folks are saying. And then they interviewed you, and I was like, oh, it's about connecting with your customer. It's about serving them. It's about getting to know them and figuring out what they need. And only then, after you've done all of that due diligence and you truly understand like the problem your customer has, then and only then providing them with a solution that they actually need. And I'm like, I can do that. Like that doesn't feel like being that icky person. Like that feels like adding value to people's lives. Yeah. And so immediately I bought your book, and I was like, I was kind of maniacal. I'm like, every month, like, has she offered a class yet? How about now? How about now? And I was so thrilled to finally get into your class. Yeah.
I'm so excited because I have not heard this story from you in particular. So that is like the perfect path to find me. And I'm so happy that's true, because there's so much misinformation among business owners to think that we're here to be billboards. So I'm just excited that was your journey, because that is that's like the perfect journey. Okay, so then it was about a year ago, because class started almost a year ago too, and that you took it for the first time. And if in case someone doesn't know, you get to take it, you own it for the lifetime. So you're on like your third pass through now. You and I chatted so briefly before we got on the call that you have learned so many things. What are some things that stand out that have other than that very first thing, the mindset shift is everything. Nothing else works unless you realize marketing is giving and serving, and you've got to know who you're helping and how you help them. So other than those things, what other things really transformed your marketing?
I think when you asked me to do this, I started thinking of it in kind of two buckets of where did I really get the most value out of class. And I think the first one was kind of hard skills. Like there are basic how-to type things that you need to know with marketing. You need to understand email lists. You need to understand the basic structure of a website. It helps if you even have some ideas on which tools to actually use, else you're spending days in rabbit holes, like evaluating tools, which I've learned you can just lose so much time on that. Right. So the fact that you give your students an idea of which tools might be most efficient. You give us an idea. You're not a technology support. I don't want to get it wrong, but you give us like a blueprint of where to go to get the different components of things that you need to market. That I literally want to say it saved me weeks of time. And I think there was also just like concepts, this is going to sound silly to you, but concepts like a lead magnet. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how to use that. I didn't know why that was important. In fact, those pop-ups on websites like annoyed me. Like I didn't understand what they were trying to do. So just getting those concepts down, which for my background, I had done none of that. That was indispensable. So I think it was the hard skills on one hand, but the soft skills for me, I think were even better. And I think at least for me, because I have an agricultural background from being a child, but not as an adult, right? So for me, starting a farm has been like an intensely vulnerable experience. And even though I feel like a confident person, it brought up tons of stuff. And like the fact that we've got the community there of other farmers who are having a very similar experience, the fact that you also don't hesitate to jump in and say, hey, watch your thinking on that, and coach us on our thinking. I think while I couldn't have put together a marketing strategy without the hard skills that you taught, I wouldn't be able to keep running with it without the soft skills.
Yeah. And that's kind of the beauty of getting to take it multiple times is the first time through, you really need to get those hard skills in place. You need to watch our tutorials, connect your email service with your website. And then the second and third time through, you're doing just what you're doing now. And then one thing you pointed out is, so in my work with hundreds of farmers every year, often there's this idealistic view that the diversified farm is everything. And the diversified farm is how you market, because if they're buying eggs, they're going to buy pork and vegetables and all that. And farmers get scattered. And so right before we went live, you told me that this class gave you almost a feeling of permission to back off the diversification. Walk us through that, because this is huge. And this is where you're really going to make more profit when you get more specific. So tell us what happened with you.
Yeah. So I mentioned in the beginning, we do chickens, pork, and then the bare root peonies that we ship in the fall. And I have to say, like, the first thing we started to question was chickens, because we just weren't seeing the profit margins, even though we were pricing for profit. We weren't seeing the profit margins. There's all kinds of regulatory issues in New York we had to deal with. And it just started to feel like there was too much emotional energy going into trying to make this whole thing work. And even though it was a reasonably popular product, because it almost seems like anybody who comes to the farm will buy a chicken. Like, it's not quite that simple, but it is a little like that. But I just was feeling like, I just don't know if this is working for us. And I was listening to you in a class that you were doing over the summer, I think it was. And you said, you know what, we're dropping some things that even though they make us money and they bring us customers and we're the only people doing it, we're dropping it because it no longer works for us. And not only did that, I was already pretty much deciding to not do poultry. I was like, you know what, we're going to put a pause on pork too. We may come back to it, but when I really looked at the emotional energy that pork was taking for us, it didn't make sense. And I was no longer loving doing it. And I think specifically, you said, this one thing, I no longer love to do it. I think it was your farm camp. I no longer love to do it. And I'm like, okay, that's my permission. I'm not doing pork anymore.
I'm so excited for you. Yeah. And in the past, I would have not done, 5 years ago, I would have thought, oh, people clamor to sign up every year. There's nothing like it anywhere. It's my obligation to do it. But now that my kids are no longer in the age range of our farm camp, it was like a season of life that I've outgrown, and I didn't love it. And it was a difficult decision because my husband was looking at the customers who demand farm camp. And I was like, honey, I want to love life every day. And the week we do farm camp, I don't. So we're stopping it. So I'm super glad that helped you.
It's almost like when you said that, I had this realization, like, farming is so emotionally and physically exhausting, right? Like, unlike many other professions. And if you don't more than love what you're doing, it's just not going to work. And, to be clear, we really liked growing pigs, and they served us well, but we didn't love it in the way that I love my bare root peonies. And I think if you don't have that level, you're not going to be able to sustain it for the long haul.
Yeah, it often reminds me of parenting. I don't love changing diapers, but you change diapers for those first 3 years because you absolutely love the kid. And I've often thought that the moment I don't absolutely love something, and I know that's going to last, it's time to let it go. So I'm really glad you've done that. Now, you mentioned some numbers too. Once you dropped the pork and focused on the peonies, what happened in your profits too, and your sales?
So I pay a lot of attention to our web traffic because I'm much more, and this is also something I got from your class, I focus a lot more on my website than I do on our social media. I am going to be doing more social media in the future, but I'm more comfortable in the website space. And so I feel like that's where I need to kind of grow my roots and then expand. What I had already noticed, and this was part of the calculation too, in moving a little bit away from meat, I had already noticed that even though I was spending all kinds of like blog time on cooking and marketing the meat, that still about 2 out of every 3 visits were really focused on our peonies, which was funny because we only introduced our peonies last year. Like, we haven't even been, it will only be a year of selling peonies in July, right? So that's how new they are for us. And so as I started kind of weaning ourselves off the meat, we're still going to be selling it till May, but we're weaning ourselves off and focusing my blog energy more on like gardening, basically, not even necessarily peony specific, but gardening. It's now like 9 out of every 10 hits are really on the peonies or peony related content. And, because peonies are so new, we're definitely not profitable on those yet. Right. But, we haven't even been a year, and I'm already seeing repeat customers year over year. And I'm finding like reviews on like websites like garden.org about, how wonderful our roots are and these kind of things. So we're just, we're seeing all the potential there, even though it actually still brings in less money than the pork.
You'll totally get there so fast. And what the people I work with before they take the class often don't understand is the more products you offer, the more opportunity for marketing you offer, but actually the more it dilutes your marketing. And I think that's the perfect example of, once you selected peonies, it's this energetic thing that you're no longer struggling to write blog posts about pork and chicken and peonies. All your focus went in there, and it's paying off.
I mean, this is anecdotal, right? And it could just be a total coincidence, but literally in the past 2 weeks, I've had 3 requests to speak somewhere about the peonies, right? I've never had a request to speak on our meat, you know? And I think that there also could be some, and again, this is just conjecture, but there also could be something that because I just really do feel more passionately about the peonies, that it's subtly coming across. And don't get me wrong, I feel very passionately about sustainably raised meat, and we will always grow our own meat for ourselves, right? But I think there was something subtle that comes through when it's something that you are just so into, like when it's the thing you can't not do. People know that.
Well, they can sense it because you're aligned on all levels. Your purpose, your vision, your values, your beliefs, your capabilities, your actions, your feeling, everything's aligned. And that's what people see in the rest of the world. And then you look super attractive to everyone. And then they ask you to speak, which means every time you speak, you're going to add to that potential customer base. You're going to add dozens of people. And over the years, you'll add hundreds of people every time you speak. That's a great opportunity.
I should give you one stat. I didn't think of this stat at first, but this is the obvious one. So based on your class, you know, your point is always give something that people need. Well, one thing that I've noticed with a lot of, because I've started to spend time in like peony Facebook groups to see what is it that people really are getting from the experience of growing peonies, right? And one of the things that I noticed is people really they have these wish lists. They call them like unicorn lists of the peonies they really want, because some peonies are extremely rare. And so they're literally like constantly stalking like the peony sites when they know that that they're going to release their catalog for that year. Or sometimes like we release our catalog twice with different varieties in each. And so I was like, you know, the people who are actually that dedicated to our farm, they should have a week of private shopping, right? Because that's a thank you. Like they are taking a risk on us as a new peony grower. They don't know if we're going to send roots that are true to name. They don't know if our roots will have disease. They're really taking a risk. So they should have like an additional opportunity that just your random person doesn't get. So I told everybody on our email list that they're going to get a week of private shopping. And then I put a little form on our catalog that says, sign up if you want a week of private shopping for every time we release our catalog. Can I tell you, our email list is very small, right? But we literally probably increased when I did that, I think our list went up by 40% in the course of 2 to 3 weeks. And that one button continues to I don't have anywhere near like the traffic that you have, right? But that is still my most successful button. And I've seen in peony forums, people talking about how glad they are to have that privilege to shop before everybody else
And
does.
the example right there you gave is what they learned the very first module. Know who your ideal customer is and what does she want, and then give her that and solve that problem. Yeah. And that is the absolute most perfect example of that. So congratulations. I'll emphasize that more in the course through next time, because you've had such good results, because people could do that with any product. It doesn't have to be like we do that with our Thanksgiving turkeys. They sell out in 24 hours. So we give our returning customers first dibs, so it can apply to any farm you have, whether it's 3 day, like the Nordstrom sale, the card holders can come in 2 or 3 days early. So yeah, you're the Nordstroms of peonies. Well, I wish. Well, okay. So I try to keep these interviews at about 20 minutes, which we're almost there, so that because we could talk all day. We could go down so many different, and if I get to New York, we'll have to sit down. Yeah, how fun would that be? Or if you get to Oregon. But I know. What last words? So I do these video interviews like this so that if someone, they can hear, I can talk all day about take the course. It's really great. But that, I'm the author. So what would you tell someone who's thinking, should I really invest money? Will I have the time? Is it worth it? what would your advice be?
It's so personal, but for me, I would say this course is what is going to give you the confidence to move forward as a competent business owner. Like for me, it was way broader than just marketing. Mm-hmm. It was actually feeling like I know the lay of the land, right? I'm getting tips from you and from other farmers on how they're actually running their business. I have a brain trust that I can go to help me solve my problems, which is something I really missed when I left corporate, mm-hmm. right? I didn't realize how hard it is to run an enterprise without colleagues, mm-hmm. right? I'm not even talking about without people working for you. I'm talking about people that you can brainstorm and bounce ideas off of. And just having kind of all of those things in one place, I found really that the only thing that I can't get answered in your group is like very specific details around like peony cultivation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. But everything else I can literally bring to the table.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So for me, it's just been that overall confidence that like I have the resources that I need at my fingertips when I need them.
That's amazing. Everything to run a successful business. Yeah. And you know, I've been doing this 10 years now. So they get 10 years of my, so it is far more than marketing. It is business coaching throughout too. Yeah. So, well, I am just so grateful that you were here today, and we have to talk again. I love when I get the chance to talk to students in person. I'm actually headed to Kansas tomorrow to teach an all-day workshop Friday, and I'll meet some of the students there. So it's so fun to like give them a hug. So sending you a virtual hug, but thank you for everything, and everyone keep your eyes out. She's writing a book. So we'll keep our eyes out for that over the next, 6 months or year or 2 years. Yeah, I know how book writing goes. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes out for that. But congratulations on your huge success, especially since you've just had the peonies a year, and that's even the success of deciding that is your thing. And I can't wait, keep us updated on your progress. I want to hear all those reports, like even a year from now, how much it's grown. So thank you. Oh, thanks for everything. Let me see. I want to make sure we don't have any questions. Oh, you're welcome. There's lots of viewers saying thank you. So thanks for being here today. And I will see you in class on Monday. And just so everyone knows, there's a link alongside this video taking them to the sales page where they can read more about what's in class. But what you said, all those wonderful other benefits people get, sometimes you can't even put them all in writing. There's so many. So totally. Thank you for joining me from New York.
Thank you. Have a good one. Enjoy Kansas.
Yes, thank you. All right. Bye, Cate.
Bye.